Welcome to Spectrum News at 4, coming to you live from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. My name is Ofonono Joseph. Let's take a look at the top stories. Federal government takes over Ozekoma's case from ICPC. Reps opposition lawmakers question non-implementation of 2025 budget. In other stories, Trump says administration conducting review after shooting of Alex Pretty. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us on the news at this hour. We begin the news at 4 from the national scene where the Attorney General of the Federation AGF and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi San has taken over the prosecution of the criminal case brought against Mike Ozekoma's son by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC. The development, however, stalled Ozekoma's planned arraignment today before a High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, on the 3-count charge filed against him by the ICPC and in which he is accused of, among others, forgery. Reports say when the case was called, the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, DPPF, Rotimi Oyedekpo San, said he was representing the AGF and informed the court of the AGF's decision to take over the case from the ICPC. Oyedekpo said the AGF was acting under his powers as provided in Section 174 of the Constitution in a collaborative effort with the ICPC. Meanwhile, the National Industrial Court sitting in Abuja has fixed January 27 to rule on an application seeking to stop workers of the Federal Capital Territory Administration (FCTA) from continuing their ongoing strike. The presiding judge, Justice Emmanuel Subilim, adjourned the matter for ruling after listening to submissions from counsel representing both parties. The suit was filed by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Nyesom Wike, who is asking the court to compel the striking FCTA workers to resume duties. Recall that the workers embarked on the strike over alleged unresolved welfare issues, including 5 months of unpaid salaries, long-outstanding promotion arrears, and poor working conditions. From the Green Chambers, members of the opposition caucus in the House of Representatives have raised serious concerns over the alleged non-implementation of the 2025 Appropriation Act, with indications that they may call for the removal of key finance officials over what they described as failed assurances to the legislature. In a statement jointly signed by the caucus leaders Fred Agbedi and Afam Ogene, the opposition lawmakers announced that a strategic meeting has been scheduled for Tuesday to deliberate on pressing national and legislative issues. According to the statement, discussions at the meeting will focus on fiscal governance, legislative oversight, and the performance of the minority leadership in the House. A major item on the agenda, the caucus said, is the reported failure to implement the 2025 budget for an entire fiscal year, despite the House approving all loan requests submitted by the executive. The caucus is also considering demands for greater accountability in the finance sector, including a possible call for the removal of the Minister of Finance and the Accountant General of the Federation. In another development, Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo has ordered the closure of the Onitsha main market for 1 week following traders' failure to comply with the state government's directive to disregard the Monday sit-at-home order. The governor gave the directive today during an on-site visit to the market, along with some of his aides and other government officials. Soludo warned that the closure could be extended if traders fail to comply with the directive, adding that security agencies have sealed the market to enforce the order. The governor described the development as the latest and perhaps most drastic salvo in a protracted struggle over control of economic life in the southeast on Monday. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Umoino has flagged off the construction of Ibom CNG mass transit terminal at Chikorik Belfort, Uyo. Governor, who performed the flag-off at the terminal premises, said his administration intends to provide a world-class transport facility to ease movement within the state. He said the determination to provide a world-class transport system was part of efforts to ease citizens' movement by linking all the 31 local government areas of the state to the capital city and boosting the economy and tourism potentials of the state. Highlighting the economic importance of the project, Governor commended the Minister of Petroleum, Gas, Obongimemekwerikwepo, for his collaboration and support for the vision, as the project will incorporate gas stations, training schools for technicians, and engage about 500 drivers. The governor reiterated his administration's commitment to ensuring that the state's transportation system is improved.
It was not a good site. That the commissioner has said the site was abandoned and it had become a beehive and a living abode for touts and criminals. But today it's been well cleared and ready to receive a world-class bus terminal in this place. From here to all the 31 local government areas in this state, we are going to apply the roads, are very well paved roads, very well constructed roads to the 31 local government areas. All the 50 CNG buses that we have already ordered and paid for, all ordered and paid for. Through the Central Bank of Nigeria, remittances have been done and we have paid to Isuzu. They came, our people went there, they visited, and we have already ordered 50 in the first phase. And they will start arriving from April this year. They are luxurious CNG buses that will go to all the local government headquarters, to and fro. We are determined to ensure that what we see elsewhere around this country and even outside the country, we'll do it here. People can now board our buses. You don't even have to pay.
In his goodwill message, the Minister of Petroleum, Gas, Obongimemekwerikwepo, commended Governor for his pragmatic leadership, describing him as a man of peace and vision who understands the needs of his people. He noted that the project was a clear interpretation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope vision to ameliorate the effect of subsidy removal. Government House correspondent Jane Uwa reports that the minister pledged to support the initiative by providing CNG mother stations to help the state realize its dream for the transport sector. We move now to Africa, where Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati has welcomed a U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau to Cairo for talks on bolstering the strategic partnership between Egypt and the United States. The two men reviewed key regional files including Gaza, Sudan, and the Horn of Africa. On Gaza, Egypt stressed its support for the next phase of peace plan, including the rapid deployment of an international stabilization force, opening of the Rafah border crossing in both directions, and an Israeli withdrawal to enable reconstruction and sustained humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, in Sudan, he called for a humanitarian truce, safe corridors, and a Sudanese-led political process that preserves the country's unity and institutions. Dr. Abdelati also warned that any recognition of Somaliland would violate Somalia's sovereignty and threaten stability in the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump says his administration is reviewing everything after the fatal shooting by immigration agents of 37-year-old intensive care nurse Alex Pretty in Minneapolis on Saturday. In his comments, Trump also indicated that he would eventually withdraw agents from the city, but he did not give a time frame. Protests continued in Minneapolis and other U.S. cities as Minnesota Governor Tim Walz warned that America was at an inflection point. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said Pretty was shot on Saturday because he was brandishing a gun. Local authorities deny this, adding that the gun was legally registered and that he was shot after the gun was removed. Still on the foreign scene, China warned its citizens today against traveling to Japan during the upcoming Lunar New Year holiday, citing deteriorating public security with Tokyo and Beijing locked in a diplomatic split. Japanese Prime Minister Sene Taikachi's suggestion in November that Tokyo would intervene militarily in any attack on Taiwan triggered a sharp backlash from China. That included Beijing urging its citizens to avoid traveling to Japan. The number of Chinese visitors to Japan plummeted by 45% last month from a year earlier to around 330,000 as a result of this split. China's foreign ministry reiterated its travel warning on Monday by telling citizens to avoid visiting Japan, especially during the lengthy Lunar New Year holiday in February. Still to come in the news, Abia Governor Oti appoints new Ayimba FC head coach. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more after this timeout. Welcome back, and we appreciate you for sticking with us. Now let's conclude on the rest of our news stories. On our business news, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, has called on the private sector to pump an additional $30 billion to $50 billion into the midstream petroleum sector. The chief executive of NMDPRA, Said Mohammed, who spoke after concluding his 3-day tour of facilities in Rivers State, also said President Bola Tinubu's bold move of removing petroleum subsidies had rejuvenated the sector. Mohammed said the authority was impressed to see fully integrated facilities designed, built, operated, and fully funded by Nigerians. He further noted that the country was not far away from affordable energy, adding that the goal was to ensure an ample supply of petroleum products. Still talking business, the federal government has outlined fresh measures to curb double taxation, expand the tax net, and strengthen compliance under Nigeria's new tax laws. The document, issued by the Nigeria Revenue Service (NRS), provides detailed clarifications on key provisions of the new tax framework, including reliefs for foreign-sourced income, the taxation of digital services, penalties for default, and incentives for research and development. According to the NRS, the law addresses double taxation by providing for unilateral relief and recognizing double taxation agreements entered into by Nigeria in order to prevent the same income from being taxed twice. It explained that Nigerian residents whose income has already been taxed abroad may claim relief on such income, subject to the applicable Nigerian tax rate and within the time frame allowed by law. In health, a strike monitoring team from the Joint Health Sector Unions JOHESU has stormed the Federal Medical Center FMC Umuahia to chase out health workers that were not participating in the ongoing nationwide strike. The JOHESU team, comprising the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria MHWN and Nigeria Union of Allied Health Professionals NUAHP, said a strike was still on and must be observed